So in this video we're going to talk about lists. We've been talking about how you use HTML to structure the content on a web page. You might want to display a list on your web page, and I'll show you the elements that you use to create lists. And there's a few different types of lists that we'll learn about here. Hopefully you have the files that for the course. Those were available. We talked about those a few lessons ago. If you don't have them, there should be a link below this video to the files for the course. And we're also using Sublime Text for this course. So here's the folder that I gave you, the web programming folder, and I put quite a bit of stuff in it. We've been working in the HTML folder here, and in one of the previous lessons we created this file called htmlbasics.html. Let's go ahead and create another file inside of the HTML folder and call it lists. So I'm going to right click and choose new file, and here we have an untitled file. I'm going to save it right away, so I'm going to press Control S, and that'll bring up this window here, and we want to save this as html-lists.html, html-lists.html. You can really save it with whatever file name you want, but I'm not going to be collecting these from you. So here we have our empty document. We'll go ahead and use the snippet trick that Sublime Text offers us. So I'm just going to type in HTML and then hit tab right away, and that will put in the basic elements for us. And I like to indent the head and body element properly. Sublime Text doesn't do that for you, but I think you all should as beginning programmers. So now I can see the relationships here. I've got the HTML element, and then nested within the HTML element I have the head and the body elements. They are siblings of each other, and within the head I have a title element. Let's go ahead and fill in some content for the title element right here. We can call it just HTML lists, I guess. And let's go ahead and put an H1 element at the top of our page inside the body. So put your cursor right there, make sure you're indented, and type in H1, hit tab, and we can just make the main heading say the same thing as the title, HTML lists. Okay, there's a few kinds of lists we're going to talk about here. I'm going to put my cursor right underneath the H1 element, and we're going to create our first list, which is going to be an ordered list, and I'll show you what that is in a second here. But to create an ordered list, you start with an OL element. So type in OL and hit tab, and that's going to put an ordered list on our page. Now what we're going to do is put some elements inside of this OL element. So I want you to split apart the opening and closing tags like that, and we're going to add some list items to this ordered list. To add a list item, you use an LI element. So type in LI here, and the content that we'll put inside this list item will be apples. Okay, and go ahead and add another LI as a sibling here. So hit return, and then press LI, and then tab, and this list item is going to say oranges. Let's add another list item to our list of fruits here. So I'll type another LI element, hit tab, and this can say bananas. Okay, now at this point let's check this out in the browser and see what it looks like, and I'll show you what an ordered list looks like in the browser. So do Control S to save it, and then we can right click anywhere in the background here and choose Open in Browser, and here it is. I've got it over here. There's our list, and you can see that each item is automatically numbered. We didn't add the 1, 2, and 3, but by using an OL element, that stands for ordered list, the browser will automatically put the numbers next to each list item, next to each LI element. So back here in Sublime Text, let's just talk about the code real quick. All three of these LI elements are siblings. We talked about relationships in the last lesson. They all have the same parent, which is the OL element. And notice how the code is formatted nice and neat. All the LI elements are indented within the OL element here. Okay, now let's do another type of list here. This one's slightly different. It's called an unordered list. So let's go ahead and put our cursor right here underneath the closing tag for our first list. And now this time we're going to do the same type of list, but it's going to be an unordered list. So we use a UL element for that. So I type in UL and hit tab. And then I'm going to split apart the opening and closing UL tags because I've got some stuff to put inside of there. And I'll add a list item. And we can go ahead and recreate the same list that we have up above. And I'll go ahead and add another list item. And one more here. And this is what we have here is an unordered list. So if I save this, Alt tab over to the browser and hit refresh here, you'll see that with unordered lists, they just put bullet points next to each list item. So that's the difference between an ordered list and an unordered list. And remember, the ordered list uses an OL element and the unordered list uses a UL element as a parent of the LI elements. So before we move on, there's something that's bothering me a little bit that I forgot to do. Let's put subheadings here in this page. So we've got our main heading, which is the H1 element here on line 7 for me. I'm going to go ahead and put an H2 element right above our ordered list and just give it a heading of ordered lists. I should have done this from the beginning. And I'm also going to put an H2 element above our unordered lists just to give our page some structure, and by adding the subheadings it'll help with the display here. So unordered lists. Okay, so I'll save those, refresh in the browser here, and we'll see our subheadings. Okay, just a nice little touch to organize the content on our page a little bit better. So I'll go back over to Sublime Text, put your cursor underneath the closing UL element tag. Sorry. And let's add another subheading here. So we're using the H2 element for that. So H2 tab, and what we're going to talk about now are nested lists. So we'll give it a subheading of nested lists. And you can your list can get quite complicated because you can have lists within lists. So we'll show you, that's like a table of contents for a book. Let me show you what, let's build a little table of contents right here. And we'll use ordered lists, I guess, for this. So I'm going to go ahead and set up an ordered list right here. And then I'm going to give it 2 LI items. We'll call it Chapter 1. And Chapter 1 will be about HTML. And then I'll add another list item for Chapter 2, which we'll say will be about CSS, kind of like our course here. So here I have 2 chapters in my table of contents, but each chapter could be broken up into sections. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Now I'm about to put quite a bit of stuff inside of this. I'm gonna nest a whole entire list inside of this LI element right here. So what I'm gonna do is split it apart and put the opening tag on its own line and the closing tag on its own line like that. And then to add a nested list, you put it right underneath the content here. So make sure that your nested list is going to be a child of the LI item. So we'll use another ordered list here. So I'm going to put a whole entire list right inside this LI item. So I'll type in OL, hit tab. That'll put in the opening and closing tags for me. And then let's add an LI element right here. And we'll say the first section is Intro to HTML. And then I'll add another LI element right here. And that'll be the second section in Chapter 1, which would be all about HTML elements, just like our course here. Okay, so what I have here is an ordered list that is nested inside of another ordered list. So you can imagine how this might come in handy, because here's an example of hierarchical data structures that we were talking about in the last lesson. Lists within lists, like how elements work within an HTML document. Notice how everything's formatted nice and neat. This nested list right here is a child of the Chapter 1 list item. I see a lot of people mess this up. They'll put the sublists underneath. They'll put them right here, and that would be making it a sibling of an li element. But when you add nested lists, you want them to be a child of an li element here, like that. So that'll do it for our list lesson.